What are you eating? What are you eating? What are you eating? He's so not afraid of me, it's almost insulting. Hey, it's Rachel, and today I'm going to show you how to make a foliar calcium spray that you can apply to your plants to give them an extra boost of calcium whenever they need it. And the good news is this is extremely cheap to possibly free and easy to make. The reason I made this is because I have a good problem to have of a bumper crop of peppers coming up in the summer bed behind me, and I need to make sure that I give the plants a little extra calcium to prevent blossom end rot in those peppers. This is my summer bed, has all of my fruiting crops in it. You can see some of the San Marzanos along there are, zoom in a little bit, starting to set some fruit. You can see those clusters coming on. I just harvested squash this morning, so there's nothing to show you there, but I am getting a good yield off of that plant. I also have peppers, and they are absolutely jamming. Down here, you can see just loaded with fruit. And this is great. I'm happy to get a good harvest, but all of these are pulling from the same block of soil, and we are about to start straining the available calcium. Why am I worried about calcium in particular? The role of calcium is to build strong cell walls in plants, and anytime they go through rapid growth or fruit set, they can run short of calcium. Fruits go from a very small fertilized ovum all the way to a mature fruit pretty quickly, and that rapid growth of the tissue demands a lot of calcium. If your plant doesn't get enough of it from the soil, you will start to see problems with the fruit, including blossom end rot. Step one of this solution is to get some eggshells and grind them up. Every time that I cook with eggs, I set the shells aside, I wash them with warm soapy water. You can put these in the oven if you're worried about bacteria. I'm just not that worried about it. So I just let it air dry and then I hand crush them up. And I've got a good pile, this is heavy, there's a lot of eggshells in here. I grind them. I just use a regular coffee grinder. This is an old one I've had for a long time. It's actually kind of glitchy, but it works just fine for this purpose, and so I reserve it for that. Now I will add a tablespoon of this finely ground eggshell powder into the planting hole when I add tomatoes, peppers, and squash into the garden, but that is more about balancing out the calcium level in the soil long term. It does not help prevent blossom end rot in the short term. And the reason even super finely ground eggshells will not help you is that calcium carbonate, the calcium in the eggshell, is not soluble in water. And the only calcium available to plants is water-soluble calcium. And it makes sense that calcium carbonate is not. I mean, eggs have a lot of water inside of them, so if calcium carbonate did dissolve in water, the eggs would never last long enough to become a chicken. Good for the chickens, bad for us. The way that we unlock that calcium and make it water-soluble is by adding acetic acid, aka just simple household white vinegar. That is your step 2. I am going to make a 1-gallon batch because that happens to be the size of the pitcher that I have available. For every gallon, you're going to want 2 teaspoons of your eggshells, finely ground. Kind of a generous heaping tablespoon there. And then an equal volume, so another 2 tablespoons in my case, of vinegar. As you add this and mix, you will see that it starts to foam up quite vigorously and bubble. So what is going on in here? If you take the calcium carbonate from the eggshell and you add 2 molecules of acetic acid for every molecule of calcium carbonate, those will combine and reorganize into calcium acetate, water, and carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide is what you saw bubbling off just now in that glass container. 2 pieces of good news. First, calcium acetate, our first product here, is water soluble, and that is the goal of this foliar spray. The other good news is that as long as you let the reaction go all the way until completion, it will neutralize the acid, and you will not hurt your plants when you apply this. I also make a point of picking this up and swirling it periodically just to help it get more surface area to react and keep this reaction going. You do want to give it some time and make sure this goes all the way to completion. If it didn't, you could potentially have still too much acetic acid present and hurt your plants. So let this go really until you don't see any more bubbling happening in that reaction. I'm really not seeing any more bubbling. I'm also seeing some leftover eggshells, which for me is reassuring. It means I don't have an excess of acetic acid in here. I am going to pour this off, try to leave as much of this extra eggshell residue in here as I can. And I'm gonna go ahead and add some water to this now and create kind of a really concentrated solution. Give it a nice shake. I'm gonna let this sit overnight, and then tomorrow I will dilute it out to the full gallon. I'm going to leave the super concentrated solution overnight for two reasons. First, it just allows that reaction even more time to finish, and it allows the calcium acetate to fully dissolve in the water, which is the whole point of this to begin with. Second is that it matters when you apply a foliar spray. Make sure you're doing it on a dry day. It's been raining here off and on all day, and my concern is that if I put this on the plants now and then it starts raining again, it's just going to wash right off, and all of this work will have been pointless. Final step, filter it, dilute it to a full gallon, and apply it. It is the next morning. Nice sunny day. Good opportunity to apply this and not have it be immediately washed off. I'm going to take my spray and I'm going to liberally coat the undersides and the tops of the leaves of my pepper plants. Doesn't matter if I get any on the blossoms or the fruit, that's totally fine. And while I'm at it, I will also go in and get the tops and bottoms of my squash leaves and give the tomatoes a good dose while I'm here. Sorry about the sound there. That's an old spray bottle, man. Normally, I try not to get my tomato leaves wet. You can't encourage disease, but it is a sunny day. This will have plenty of time to dry. Which raises the question, why am I spraying this on the leaves at all? Why not just pour it in the ground? You can. There's two reasons I'm not. First, it has been raining lately, as I mentioned, and I don't want to overwater my plants and potentially kill them. Second, when you pour this in the soil, you lose all control over where it goes. There are herds of microlife down here, microorganisms teeming in this soil, and the calcium is fair game for any one of them. It will also be taken up potentially by weeds in the soil. If you apply it directly to the leaves of the plants that you want to assist, their stoma will take it in, and you know that the calcium went where you wanted it to go. I really enjoyed making this video. I hope the rabbit behind me found it educational and that you did as well. I obviously love chemical equations, so I had an excuse to use one and that was fun for me, but more to the point, I got to show you guys something almost completely free that's super useful in the garden. Eggshells, you bought the eggs anyway. The vinegar most of us have at home, and it would just be, a few cents equivalent given the amount that we're using. I mean, I used a coffee grinder for this because I had one, but you could just as easily put these in a plastic bag and bang it up with a rolling pin. Use whatever you have on hand and you will have an extremely inexpensive, easy to make, effective foliar spray to support your plants through fruiting and prevent blossom end rot. He's cute, I'll give him that. Because this is so cheap and easy, I'd recommend using it more than just during fruiting. Anytime your plants are going through rapid growth is a good time to give them an extra shot of calcium. Use it liberally, you might as well. It's easy, it's cheap. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I enjoyed making it. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions on how to do this better, please let me know. Until next time, thanks.